What's up? Welcome back to another video. I'm going to keep today's pretty short because our editor is currently sick at the moment, so I don't want to put too much work on his plate. But anyways, the trade setup yesterday ended up being quite interesting because ultimately the scenario that we kind of mapped out played out, but we didn't necessarily get all of the conditions that were met to get a trade. Now, I saw a lot of you actually posted like profits that, you guys started shorting once you saw the CISD and once, timing kind of hit and once you started getting into the hourly key levels. One thing's for sure, personally, I'm going to count it as kind of a loss because I was talking a lot about how, price would kind of go into the fair value gap or to sweep above the value area. And that's why personally I didn't really take it, amongst other things, of course. But yeah, super happy to see that a lot of you have been able to follow the system to a very high degree of accuracy. And if that recent 6-hour-long masterclass has helped you in any shape or form, like feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. Whenever I read positive, kind of comments, it definitely helps to keep me going. But otherwise, let's get into the intraday trade for today. If you guys remember what I said from yesterday, today we have news, which also means that the probability that trades are going to play out today is going to be much higher. And if you guys remember from yesterday's video, we talked about how we are dealing with a bearish power of 3 on the weekly chart at the moment, which means that ideally we're going to be looking for more downside movement on the weekly chart. Now, the way that this reflects onto the daily chart is that on the news days, which is in this week, Tuesday and Thursday, we're going to want to look for the market to expand to the downside aggressively, right? In terms of Monday being not so high probability, I know like we had a pretty big move, but like statistically speaking, without news and Mondays tend to be pretty low probability days. Like proof is in the pudding. Like out of the last 170 trades or so that I've taken, I've lost about 40 of them. And out of the 40 losses, there are like the majority of them came on Mondays and on non-news days. I know it's not a huge sample size, but in general, news days are when you want to kind of focus on trading and you want to expect aggressive moves to happen. And the way that I see it at the moment, there are two things that can happen. One is you return back to the fair value gap, and secondly, you are going to be able to jump into some sort of momentum trade. Essentially, once you break below this level at 85,700, that is going to be the cue for you to just start momentum trading things towards the downside, or otherwise, you can retrace back into the fair value gap first before going to the downside. Now, I am leaning towards the possibility of this one happening more, because in the event that you come all the way up here, technically you can argue that, this is going to be a bullish order block. So ideally, you just break lower from this point onwards, and everyone's going to be happy. And key thing to note here is that today we have news. When you identify these changes to state of delivery, or when you start getting into the 5-minute chart to execute, the best trades that you're going to take are going to come between the hour before news to potentially the hour after news. So just keep that in mind as you head into trading today. It's not just about price action. This is something that a lot of people get wrong about the market. Like the market has two axes. You have the vertical axis, which is price, and you have the horizontal axis, which is time. Most people just focus on learning as many new technical analysis concepts as possible without taking into account that, hey, certain technical analysis concepts or certain setups applied at different times of the day or applied at different days of the week can yield varying, like incredibly varying results. So just understand that today is a day where, for example, once we go down to the lower time frame chart, well, Asia high has been swept during London, which tends to be a manipulation session. Once you get that manipulation, you're going to want to look for a CISD. So quite literally, like hour before news, like if you get a CISD towards the downside, this is already enough for you to momentum trade things to the downside. And in terms of daily targets today, I think it would be pretty reasonable for us to aim for 83,800, which is on the daily chart. It's just a previous swing low on the daily chart. And if I zoom out on the 1 hourly, I think this makes a lot of sense for an intraday target. So you can make quite a lot of money today if you play your cards right. And of course, if the market gives us the cards, just because we have identified a potential A+ setup does not mean that it is going to happen, right? It's like in poker where if you have pocket aces, doesn't guarantee that like you're going to win the hand. It's just statistically speaking, you're very likely to win a hand. So as usual, I will be posting any updates on Twitter as well as Blueprint, if you guys are in Blueprint, which is closed by the way, like you cannot join any longer. But Ethereum is beautiful actually. I didn't even notice this yesterday, but you have a 3 drives pattern, or in this case, it's looking like a market maker sell model on Ethereum, where you've already broken down below yesterday with that daily close. This is a daily change in state of delivery, which is going to be incredibly bearish for Ethereum, especially on the daily chart. So yeah, today setup's going to be pretty straightforward. Ethereum's looking quite a lot more bearish compared to Bitcoin because you've already formed a new bearish order block, which means right now, break, you're just going to momentum trade things lower. Of course, there is the possibility that Ethereum could come back to sweep the highs one more time, just like what we did with that daily market maker sell model before you start dropping towards the downside. But in general, I think this is already looking pretty good. Oh, in the event that you sweep the highs, you're going to sweep out the Asia high as well. But either scenario is positive, like either scenario is possible, and both scenarios are valid. If by the time you watch this video, you get breaks below Ethereum, kind of like that on the 5-minute chart, you can already just start trading it lower and just understand that the direction for Ethereum today is going to be lower. It's not going to go higher. And in terms of Solana, you're looking pretty bearish as well. Nothing too surprising there because everything is kind of correlated to Bitcoin. In terms of Solana, the two shorts that we're going to be looking for is one, an hourly close below $125, or a sweep above the Asia high, where you will fill in, or rather continue filling in this fair value gap. And that will be the two kind of like ideal setups. So this is A, and second is just momentum trading things lower. And again, both are valid. Asia high has already been swept based on the look at things. So even if you just, by the time you watch this video, if on the 5-minute chart you've already got something like this and you have news timing aligned and everything, this is already good enough for you to take a trade. But anyways, I'm going to see you later. And if the editing of this video is a little bit more simple than usual, do forgive the editor. He does need a much needed break. But otherwise, catch you later. Ciao, ciao.